and welcome to Tremco Live, where we're socially distant but technically connected. I'm Marcy Tyler, the Director of Building Science for Tremco, and as always, well not always, I am joined by my co-host.
Almost always.
Almost always.
I'm Paul Hugenboom. I'm the president of Tremco Construction Products Group. Marcy, a tremendous collection of products, systems, brands, companies, and of course, people all over the world.
All over the world. I love our capability of getting together with each other, and then of course with our guests and all of you every week with this type of program. I like to mention, please continue to give us your insights and your ideas. We'll definitely find time to use them throughout the next couple of months. The month of January, Paul, we wanted to focus on what was new.
Yes.
And we kicked it off, so if you didn't see it, we pre-recorded a nice January 1st message all about how we got to where we're at today.
Yep.
And then after that, we had a great program focused on insulated concrete forms and the myths around those. Then we also got a chance to talk about roofing, what was new with roofing. And then one of our guests that came on talked all about prefabrication and our federal system, panelization with Rick Bunting. So we've had a lot of great programs this month.
Yeah. So what's new for today, Marcy?
What's new for today?
I know we have a long list and you had to really whittle it down.
We had to pick and choose for sure.
What is our final entrant?
Well, we wanted to talk today, kind of close off what we started the month with talking about how we got to where we're at today. Every week, Paul and I get the great privilege of representing so many different individuals up here when we talk about Tremco Construction Products Group. So we wanted to kind of round it all out and go back to that very first program we did, that broadcast in the month, and talk a little bit about where we're at right now. And what we're talking about is that power of one.
Yeah, and I think that's a great bookend to finish with, because some years ago when Chuck Houck and I sat down and kind of talked about a vision and a direction, I think that's might have been 5 or 6 years ago, that kind of put us on this path. Those are some pretty key principles that drive us towards today.
Yes.
And I think the one you have for today, the power of one, right, and how that all comes together, that was really at the heart of our thinking back at the start.
Absolutely. Today's broadcast will also act as a teaser for all of you. So I did post on LinkedIn, and as I mentioned, we're talking about that power of one and how we're going to back it up with a great warranty system. We've never shied away from warranties, right? We definitely like to understand what those warranty requirements are, and we really took that to heart as we're all coming together. And there's been a lot of our great colleagues working pretty aggressively behind the scenes getting this together for everyone. So this is a teaser to introduce that concept, but we want you to know that we'll be back again talking more about it. So if you have lots of questions about that warranty, please send them in. I'll give you some contact information at the end, and we can also follow up with you. But we're going to do a panel, a group of individuals that'll come on and answer those questions even more later. Give you a little bit of time to think about it, maybe some time with your sales rep to talk about it, but definitely think of this as what I like to call a teaser. So as always, we got a few slides here we want to go through to kind of guide our broadcast today and our discussion. Paul always brings us up right as we get started, all those systems that we get to represent on a regular basis. We are continuing with our feet on the street to make sure that you understand all those different parts of that building enclosure that we get to represent on a regular basis.
Yeah, and I think the key, each of those call outs, they all have interfaces to each other. I think you're always really, you really emphasize, Marcy, that we run to those interfaces and want to own those interfaces, especially when the specification will say by others. We would like that to be by Tremco.
Exactly, yep.
But so that's just critical that these all come together. Instead of having interfaces, just put a big T there.
Yep.
T
for Tremco. We definitely want to be able to take that challenge on. Being able to go and make those connections is a role we like to play, and we like to play there because of all the great subject matter experts we have, and of course our systems that support those connectivity, the connectivity options that you have all across your building enclosure. We're excited once again to talk about that power of one, and you can see up there on the slides that one building envelope, one warranty. So one very powerful system delivering unmatched protection. And I love that word protection, right? We like that ability to protect that inner structure in your project.
Yeah, the other expression I think we use a lot of is peace of mind, right? So that I think if you're feeling protected, you have peace of mind. If you're not feeling peace of mind, that's probably a good sign that maybe you're not as protected as you thought you were.
And if we're sticking with P words, I'll go with partners, right?
Yeah.
We are your partner. Belly to belly or fist bump to fist bump these days, we're definitely here for you through the whole construction project.
Yeah, the other way I always like to think of the word warranty is warranty does one of two things, right? If in the warranty it says, here's what's not covered, it inherently gives you less peace of mind. When it says, here's what is covered, right? And I like to think our approach is we like to run towards coverage. Right? We like to, because coverage is what gives our customers and owners, everybody, contractors, consultants, designers, everybody's involved. It gives them peace of mind that they can depend on Tremco to stand behind the system.
And speaking of standing behind it, we do have a message from Chuck Hauk that we would love to share with you right now as it relates to the Tremco Construction Products Group and this power of one. So let me go ahead and play that for all of you now.
Good afternoon. My name is Chuck Hauk, and I'm the president of Tremco's commercial sealant and waterproofing business. We are a part of the Tremco CPG, or Construction Products Group, and it's really nice to be here with you this afternoon. Thank you to both Paul and Marcy for inviting me to participate in this week's edition of Tremco Live. There's been a lot of great programs over the past months, and I'm excited to be a part of this for the first time. Part of what they're going to be talking about today, they always have great content, is the introduction of a new warranty, our Tremco CPG building envelope warranty, which we really see as a game changer for our industry. We're very excited about the positive feedback and the interest that we're getting as we're out presenting this warranty to contractors, to owners, to architects and engineers, consultants alike. This is an important milestone for us as an organization as we think about the journey that we've been on to deliver six-sided solutions that are going to create peace of mind for building owners everywhere. And based on the feedback, the early feedback that we're getting, we think this is exactly what the industry's been waiting for. So we're very excited to be talking more about that with you this week. Now, for those of you who are regulars for this program, tune in each week to hear all this great content. It is no surprise to you that we're very proud of our building science lab located here in Cleveland. And a lot of our thinking and our approach to trying to deliver better, more consistent results for people involved in the construction or restoration of buildings is really tied to the work that we've done at that lab. And hopefully some of you have had a chance to come here to Cleveland and visit. I know that they're doing some virtual tours if in this COVID world it's a little difficult for us to get together. But forever, we've been trying to work closely with consultants, people within the A&E community, installers, to design, build, and then test complete wall systems to the limits of their performance. We've known for a long time that the right way to approach this is to test the entire wall assembly. That's the best way to ensure that we're going to get the result that's intended when this construction takes place in the field. We've also known forever that it's those critical connection points throughout the building envelope, like window to wall or roof to wall, where most failures are going to take place. And that's not a coincidence. Oftentimes at those critical junctures is exactly where different manufacturers with different products are married together, even though possibly they've never been tested. Different trades collide at those points and are asked to tie work into each other and there's really not been good work done possibly on sequence of installation. So the fact that we get to less than ideal outcomes oftentimes at those critical connection points really shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. But for the owner, again, it's not what they paid for. They end up with a lot of finger pointing, costly repairs, and unfortunately too often we're required to bring lawyers in to resolve the situation. There most certainly had to be a better way to address this, and a single source building envelope really is your best chance at designing and building a sustainable structure and achieving that great outcome that we're all going for. Building envelopes, of course, are made up of hundreds, if not thousands, of different components that need to come together. And up until this point in time, I really don't think the right collection of companies and technologies has come together to make that a reality. The concept has been there for a long time. That is until now. At Tremco CPG, as you probably know from watching this program, is made up of a group of really long-term trusted brands and technologies like Dravit Outsulation Systems. Their product New Brick, which is a game changer. It's lightweight, it's insulated. Aesthetically, it's almost limitless how many different looks you can get on the outside of a building. And it's really changing the way people are thinking about masonry and achieving that look on the outside of your structure. Of course, we have Nudura, which is the leader in insulated concrete form building. Wilsil, a recent acquisition, a member of our group, which is, of course, focused on the production of pre-compressed PU foam sealant. And it's a great problem solver for us in a lot of different situations, whether we're talking new or restoration. And then, of course, there's Tremco, the Sealants division, which I'm part of, as well as our roofing and building maintenance group. And we've been serving the North American construction market since 1928. So when you think about those types of companies coming together and working together, which is the most important part of this, we're starting to refer to that as the power of one. And I think they'll talk more about that during the program today. This power of one really gives life to this building envelope solution approach. And we're excited to be a part of this. We're excited to be out in front of this. And again, we're going to be sharing with you some examples of how it's already making an impact. So the question is really pretty simple. Why would you cobble together a building envelope made up of maybe a dozen different companies when you have one source in Tremco CPG that can deliver that for you? Time for me to wrap up. I just would like to, before I go, thank some of my coworkers, and you know who you are, that worked so hard over the last months and even longer, really pulling this thing together and breathing life into it. Your work has paid off, and congratulations, and of course, thank you. I also want to thank all of you that have put your trust in Tremco CPG on past projects. And I can tell you that we look forward to working with you on your next adventure, whatever that might be and wherever that might take us. So at this point, I wish you all well, good health. Again, thank you for being a part of these programs. Hopefully you're getting out of this what you're hoping to see. And at this point, I'll turn it back over to Paul and Marcy to continue the program. Have a great day.
So perfect, right? Great introduction from Chuck talking to us all about that power of one, some key things in that messaging, right?
Again, I go back to probably 5-6 years ago when, Chuck and I first kind of covered our key objectives. And it's in some ways been a long journey, but also a fast journey, right? Time goes quickly, and to be here today and actually be executing off of that is, I think, as Chuck mentioned, is really exciting. And I think he used the word better way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he repeated the phrase peace of mind.
Yep.
So
We did. That's great. Yeah. When you think about, this introduction that we're bringing to you, the team spent a lot of time educating our sales team, educating our distributors, and so they're definitely key resources for you. At the end of today's program, I do have a question I'm going to ask you. If you want more information, we can absolutely follow up with you on that. But I love the whole idea of him mentioning the building science lab where we do testing. There'll be an option for you to click on if you'd like a tour of that. I've got a couple tours coming up in the month of February. We also talked once again, like we always do, about those critical connection points. So this is where I reach out to all of you. If you have that critical connection point that you've seen on a project or you're seeing right now, that's what we want to run to and help you with.
Yeah, and again, Marcy, I've been around you for a while, and you always emphasize, I think I call it whole or entire systems testing.
Yep.
And that's, of course, something that's what our test center was really designed to do, right? Just testing one component, not as interesting as testing it as an entire assembly. So that's something that is pretty remarkable about what goes on there.
Absolutely, and I think Chuck said it too. There's thousands of connections or more on your building, and being able to get ahead of it and validate them before they even get to the job site is something we really love focusing on.
Yeah, and I think at times we've done the math, and even in relatively simple assemblies, there's often millions of permutations of both choices of material and perhaps even more importantly, sequence of installation, right? Chuck mentioned that. And as you've really educated me on, sequence of installation is often, if not probably the predominant source of failure in our systems testing.
Yeah. Well, and it brings us back to a lot of what we've been talking about in the past as it relates to some of our value propositions, which Paul and I'll close with here in a little bit. But we have a guest, of course, that we want to bring on and get their messaging from them as well. But just to kind of recap this whole idea of this warranty and one is more. There's a lot of great information that already exists on our website. Of course, your sales reps are great tools for that, connecting back to us here at the home office if you have any additional questions. But we really look at these 8 things that are listed up there as how we focus, right? That faster construction time, looking at how we can be stronger, more resilient, looking at that cost effectiveness by saving time, maybe solving weather challenges, of course, our one point of contact. Any look you want. So that design versatility was one of the things we talked about with our federal light system. And then, of course, impervious to weather and how we can test it at our test facility. Bringing in Maggie, the penguin from Drive It, and
I only just learned the penguin's name.
Oh, did you really? I was like making sure. I'm like, it's definitely Maggie. Yes.
The penguin's always been one of my absolute favorite mascots. Yeah. But I only just learned the penguin is Maggie.
That's right. And then, of course, wrapping that all together from a sustainability perspective. So we're really going and looking at your whole building and how we can make that connection. So you may have seen these buildings out there from, in other areas, but we're really trying to differentiate ourselves by bringing you those answers to those solutions and those technical challenges that you see on a regular basis. For more information on our warranty, we do have on our website right now, if you truly just type in Power of One Tremco, you're going to get this landing page here that you see on the upper right hand side. You can click to learn more and you can type in your information here. If you already are involved with Tremco, you already know about our great warranty services portal, lots of great information there. And of course, your feet on the street are always going to be your great connection point there as well for more information.
Yeah, I think, Marcy, one thing that again, I've learned from you and really many members of the team. Probably the first person to educate me on this was Mike Siebold. How important it is if you're going to pursue this, that you want to be as early in the design process as possible. That the later you get in the process, actually the more difficult it is to get to that one warranty, one system approach. And that really surprised me because it was years ago, a meeting with a customer who owned a lot of large hospitals. They were going to build a new hospital. They wanted the warranty approach. And there have already been decisions made on the project that perhaps made that unobtainable to the owner. And the owner didn't understand that. And Mike said, Paul, that can all be avoided if we're just involved right at the very beginning of the conceptual stage, if that's a known objective.
Absolutely. I was on the phone today with one of our technical reps out in Texas, and he was talking about doing just that. Like, they're used to working with our guys. Now they're on a new project, but they don't have the whole scope of work. They only have a small part. So the Tremco guys out there, and they're very disappointed because they wanted that whole holistic approach again, and they're not getting it. Obviously, Mike Bader, shout out to you in Texas, is giving them great assistance on all their window connections. But obviously, I think they're saying, darn it, we weren't realizing that what they weren't getting as it relates to that when they're comparing a past project. We always like to bring information to all of you from a customer perspective as well. So what we wanted to be able to do was share with you Catlin Zagorski's perspective on how he's looking at this Tremco warranty and his partnership with Pat Garrity. A little joke about Pat Garrity. I was going to say my co-host is Pat Garrity just because he's contributed. He's our #1 contributor.
Yeah, he's building on his lead today.
Yes, he is. So we want to be able to get you some information directly from a customer and end user who's able to use this warranty and our new systems approach. We've always had that systems approach. We just have more systems to approach with. So let's take a look at this video here that goes into that.
Been great. Pat Garrity's taking care of us. He's very approachable, and he takes care of all of our needs. Tremco is a product for about everything we could possibly need, and there are multiple distributors in Kansas City for us to use, which makes our life much easier.
Very good, very good. So give to me your thoughts or concerns that you might have on a project when you're connecting 2 different materials and that are coming from 2 different manufacturers. Like, is that a hassle? Is there concerns you have about that?
Our first concern in that instance would be compatibility. Typically, that's not a big issue. We can do it in the field. We can do a test and make sure we aren't going to have any issues there. Once again, Pat and Tremco are very flexible. As long as they don't see any issues, they go ahead and agree to allow that. The next part of that is what we'll eventually get into is warranty issues. Kind of depends on the manufacturer, how they want to warranty that. Some of them don't like to play nice. We've had that experience before. We haven't had that experience with Tremco. Typically, from our experience, Tremco will warranty any kind of transition as long as we meet those compatibility test guidelines and we've given them a chance to take a look at it. So.
Perfect. And then, so Pat, with that, are you always, working with someone like Catlin to get ahead of it? Making sure you're at the job site meetings or, looking in specifications. So things like compatibility and adhesion testing doesn't hold anything up.
Right. Catlin's one of those smart guys who calls me early on about jobs but what we're going to get into obviously is the warranty aspect of it. So when he has the opportunity to promote Tremco for tie-ins, he does. But he's one of those guys that will get a hold of me early on in the job, recommends pre-con meetings, and then if things that we don't know or don't have the answer to as far as testing, and we test in the field. But Catlin and I have been working together for several years, and we're pretty much on the same page as far as what we need to know before the job starts.
Perfect. Is there specific advice or tricks of the trade that either of you guys would want to provide as it relates to that, to the construction process or connectivity in general?
As far as the process goes, I would recommend, and I know a lot of project managers already know this, but utilize your manufacturer reps early and often, as we just discussed. If the general contractor isn't jumping on it to set up meetings, make sure you're pushing them to do so. Your representatives, Pat's one of the best I've ever worked with, and they're there to protect you and help you make a smooth process throughout the job. They're there to make sure nothing's wrong going forward. Everything's signed off. He does really good reports, and that makes my life much easier.
Yeah, those I'm sure those reports are definitely handy in terms of just the whole organization and process of keeping everything in one place and having that complete coverage during installation. So obviously today our topic is about warranty. So my question here now is like, how big of a role does that play, the warranty, in your decision process, and how involved are you able to be when it comes to, you know, which system is going to be used on the project?
Well, I'd say warranties definitely play a big role. That's one of the things we have to look at in the specifications before we decide what we're going to use. You know, they will list who you know, preferred manufacturers, and we're given an opportunity to suggest something else if it's not on that list. But you got to be really keen on looking at that warranty requirement, because some of these manufacturers might not cover the amount of time they want. So, you know, on the back end of the project, if we don't hit that, or we cannot get that from the manufacturer, you might not get your retention. That's one of the risks you'll take if you're not paying attention to these things on the front end. So yeah, definitely very important. We've got to take a look at that. We've got to know what they want, and we've got to coordinate with, you know, the representatives of the manufacturer we decide to use, and make sure that they can meet those accommodations on the front end. And based off of what I've seen on the sample warranties through Tremco, your warranty times are above and beyond what a typical warranty time tends to be. So.
Yeah, I think we've been really focused, you know, for many years, is to, you know, not walk away from warranty requirements, but we really appreciate customers like yourself, where you would promote, you know, the single source and then the inclusion of our systems as it goes from one area to the next. Pat, for you, I know you and I talked about the warranty and how we've definitely gone through a major overhaul with this Power of One warranty. Talk to me a little bit about this project that you guys are working on, where we wanted to bring Catlin in and his organization.
Yeah, so I actually, you know, Catlin, like I said, Catlin and I have been working together for several years, and, you know, just one of those relationships that kind of click when he's got an opportunity to use Tremco and fluid applied or sealants based on the specifications. He will if he can get it approved. So, you know, that being said, I knew he had a nice project coming up where he was trying to push the general contractor from his standpoint to use as much Tremco as possible. And this was right after we kind of came out with our new warranty. So I sent him the copy of that, and we both kind of just discussed it, and how the warranties were, the length of the years were more substantial than others, as well as the labor and material aspect of it. So obviously I sent you, Marcy, and a couple other people the email that Catlin had sent the general contractor with all the details, laid it out. It was almost better than I could have done it myself. But that being said, when they saw everything that we had for them to be able to use on that project, tie it all together, one single manufacturer warranty, it was a no-brainer. I think you called me within 2 or 3 days, Catlin, and told me the architect signed off on it as well. So that being said, if it goes well, I know we're getting ready to maybe start doing something next week. If it goes well, there's more opportunities from there with the same owners or architects, is right?
Absolutely.
So once again, pretty interesting feedback there. Some of our points we've made consistent again in here, right? Getting ahead of it, right? Being at the pre-con meeting, making sure that it's addressed and looked at in your specification. You know, definitely mentions of all that. Looking at the warranty requirements ahead of time, obviously key things that Catlin said, you know, that he needs to address, and work really closely with the manufacturers to get that done.
Yeah, I think that'll be, as much as, you know, Chuck emphasized there had to be a better way. I do think in the next couple of years, Marcy, our ability to educate the industry about that being early in the process, I think that's actually even more important than the warranty itself, because I think the warranty itself is obvious, as Chuck mentioned.
Yeah.
It's really about letting everybody know, and I know it's probably the 5th time I've said it this afternoon, it's about being very early in the process. And I think in the next couple of years, that's the critical bit of information we have to share.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. So once again, I want to thank Catlin Zahorsky with the GKW Restoration Group out of Kansas City. Pat Garrity out of Kansas City, speaking of Kansas City,
They're excited.
they're pretty excited. Now, let's compare this. We've got, I think Pat Garrity has been on 6 Tremco Lives. Is that getting close to Tom Brady's showing at the Super Bowl?
Well, he's 4 behind.
He's 4 behind.
He's
Pat,
4, but I think he's younger than Brady.
yes, I think he is, yeah. So Pat, you have time to match Brady's Super Bowls with your Tremco Live contribution. So thanks again to Kat and Pat for joining me this morning and giving me your feedback. If this has got you thinking about questions that you have or projects that you're working on, absolutely reach out to your Tremco rep, or you can always reach out to me. But what we really want to focus in on is the differentiation that we really want to provide for you, our customers. So reducing your risk.
Yeah, I think Marcy, we're talking and preparing for today that there's certainly a lot of folks in our industry that use that building that we saw at the beginning today.
Yeah.
But I think you put these points together to say, all right, that's the systems part, but there is, I don't know if you want to call it process, or there's some other glue that goes behind those systems. And I think you did a nice job summarizing those points right here.
Yeah, these are what our value propositions have been. They were something we focused on years ago, we continue to address and look at, and I just added an additional one at the bottom there, adding that power of one and that one building envelope, one warranty. So as Paul and I used to do these tours, we wanted to focus on those value props, and we would talk about system innovation, right? We talk about how they address secretive installation challenges, and thanks to all of you for contributing on a regular basis. We know what those installation challenges are so that we can help solve it, right? And then of course, then educate it, right? By utilizing different types of platforms so that we can continue to teach and educate the industry.
Yeah, I think, if we were together in person, one of the things you always share is some of our animated, we have quite a group that puts together the 3D animations that both show how the systems will work. And a best practice is you could start every day on the job site with the supervisor taking the crew through that 3D animation to ensure that from day to day there's consistency.
Yep, and that installation. And then with all of that, it's gonna help with your accelerated construction cycle times, finding solutions that can take away your weather worries. And then of course, working closely with everyone through collaboration, whether it's testing at the test facility or troubleshooting in those job site trailers and figuring out how we can continue to approach the industry in a new and innovative way. And then back it all up with that documented system performance, which that one's always been my favorite, but there's so much that goes into that one bullet.
Yeah, and I think there's 2 parts of documenting the system performance, Marcy. One is, I call it the routine testing we do, but the other is job specific. So, I would even go so far to say that why not have documented system performance as part of the specification specific to the job? I know that a lot of times there are on-site mock-ups, which is one way to do that.
Yep.
But we have a lot of people, more every day, that actually come to Cleveland and work in our test center to, there's often, 3, 4, 5 different views or competing thoughts on what a best way to do something is. And why not come here and test it before you build it?
Yep.
And why not put that right in the specification?
And we're definitely going to feature what's going on at that test facility here in an upcoming program as well. And then, like we always mention, is all of you, our feet on the street, our knowledgeable local sales and site support. Talk to so many of you guys today, and just the different things that you're working on and partnering with our customers each and every day. So a lot there to be proud of, a lot there that we want to be able to differentiate to our customer and continue to build better buildings together.
Yeah, so I think these are great points, Marcy, that says that this is what's really behind our building diagram and all those systems that we think maybe makes us, I don't know, a little different.
A little different. Well, and with that, I wanted to now share a polling question with all of you. And this is about relative to follow-up and what's triggering you today based on the content that we shared today, or this entire month. So we go ahead and pull that polling question up right now. So how can we help you reduce your risk? Would you like to learn more about that Power of One program? If yes, click that. Now you can choose more than one offering today. I made sure to do that. If you'd like to schedule a virtual tour with us, please let me know. We have 2 that we do as general open ones every single month, but I'd love to do a personalized one for you and the folks at your firm if that's of interest, where we can really focus on what your design challenges are or what that area that you'd like to spend more time on. The next one is, are you interested in a training program for you and your colleagues? So what does that mean? You may be sitting here listening today and say, you know what, there's so many different systems at Tremco that are new. I'd love to learn about them all, or maybe I want to learn about 3 of the 6 or whatever it may be. Please click that box and let me figure out how I can help you address that with your local feet on the street. And then the last one there, maybe you have a project or design challenge right now you'd like to discuss. So if that's the case, go ahead and click that for us so that we can get together with you and answer that as quickly as possible. So with that, it looks like most of you are voted in, so we will go ahead and close that poll and share it up on screen right now. So you can just see there's a wide range of different things that people are interested in. So I will definitely be following up with all of you. As always, we want to be able to make sure that the information we're sharing with all of you is relevant and of interest. So if you want to join in the conversation with Paul and I at any time, you can always type in the chat box your question, but you can also always reach me at mtyler@tremcoinc.com with any of your questions or any of the content that you want to share. And with that, Paul, that'll wrap up January.
I just have one question for you, Marcy. What's our theme for February?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Our theme for February is I Heart Education. Really, we love education.
Huh.
So we're going to be focusing on education. We're going to have some great guest speakers that are going to come on and share with you topics that they've been teaching out in the industry. And we'll even do a full AIA program for all of you to watch and earn credit in the month of February. So definitely join in February, and we'll see you next time.
Fantastic. Thanks, Marcy. See you everybody next week. Be safe.
Thanks.